These are the two best earbuds I've purchased under $50, but which should you get? The Soundcore P30i or P31i? Here's a quick summary. The P31i sounds clearer, but it's not as much of a bass monster. Soundcore advertises 2 times stronger bass, but it's not really more bass, it's just cleaner with less muddiness and distortion, but also less quantity. Most people will probably prefer the P31i tuning, but bass heads like myself will still lean towards the P30i. The P31i also has the better microphone with noticeably fewer cutouts and less aggressive background noise processing. The build is slightly different too. The P31i has a thinner frame, which makes it a little harder to grip when pulling it out the case, though both earbuds are comfortable and fit similarly. On the technical side, the P31i adds LDAC, more consistent ANC, and a slightly larger 11mm driver, while the P30i sticks with AAC or SPC and a 10mm driver. Super important caveat here, the P31i only gets LDAC with a firmware update, and that reveals a fatal flaw with both of these earbuds that might turn you off of both of them, so stick around for that. In short, the P31i is an overall upgrade over the P30i, but it does not hit as hard in the bass and sub bass. The P30i uses Bluetooth 5.4 and supports the standard SBC and AAC codecs. It supports multi-point, so you can stay connected to 2 devices at a time, but audio only plays to 1 device at a time. The P31i uses Bluetooth 6.1 with LDAC support. Just like the P30i, it supports multi-point, but both earbuds behave the same when you're switching between devices. They can't actually play audio from 2 at the same time. Now, when it comes to the battery life, the battery is strong on both earbuds, and in real world use, they're quite close. With ANC off, the P30i is rated for up to about 10 hours per charge with the earbuds themselves, and then the case adds an extra 45 hours. Now, if you're gonna have ANC on, the battery's only gonna last you about 6 hours instead of 10. The P31i also gets about 10 hours per charge. If you turn the ANC on, brings it down to 8, and the case also adds 50 extra hours, and this is with ANC off. So P31i gets a slight advantage. Now, both also support quick charging, giving 2 hours of playback from a 10-minute short charge on the P30i and 3.5 hours with 10 minutes of charging on the P31i case. Here are the default controls for both earbuds. The touch controls are very sensitive on both, so setting one tap to do nothing can mitigate accidental presses. You can customize the controls in the app. Now, if you set volume to hold, then you have to do a separate press and hold for each volume increase or decrease. You can't just hold it and then max out the volume, or hold it on the left or whichever you have it to and decrease the volume to 0. On Android, at least, the volume is separate from the system volume. So I would max out the volume on the actual earbuds themselves first and then adjust the system volume separately if you want these to be their loudest. Both the P30i and P31i have quite effective noise cancellation. The P31i's is slightly stronger, but not by a lot. On the train, both cut down chatter and general background noise quite a bit, and indoors, they handle things like fans, cooking sound, and cars outside very well. So for constant background noise, the performance between them is actually pretty similar, just a slight advantage to the P31i. The difference mainly shows up with sudden impacts and wind. So when something abrupt happens, like a bus hitting a bump or a sudden gust of wind, the P30i sometimes produces a quick correction noise, kind of like its own boom or thump, that can actually be more noticeable than the sound it was trying to cancel. The P31i handles these situations much more smoothly, adjusting without drawing attention to the ANC system itself. Now, both earbuds have that typical seashell background noise you get with many ANC earbuds, but it's fairly mild and not too distracting. The P30i uses a 10mm dynamic driver, while the P31i moves to an 11mm titanium coated driver. Both have a frequency response range of 20 Hz to 20 kHz, the full range of human hearing. Soundcore says the P31i produces both stronger and tighter bass. Well, I'll meet them halfway and agree on the tighter part. The P31i is definitely more controlled. In most use cases, the P31i is better. Vocals come through clearer. On the P30i, listening to YouTube videos recorded on bass heavy mics like the Shure SM7B, they have an exaggerated proximity effect, which can be distracting. On the P31i, the treble does not lose detail at higher volumes quite as fast, and when there's that hit of bass, it has a quicker impact without the lingering boominess. Now that's all fine and well, but this is the bass arena. Sure, the P30i is not quite as clear overall, but the sub bass reaches deeper and it has that thump and rumble to it when you need it. especially with equalization. Now, neither of these are going to match some more expensive wireless earbuds like the Skull Candy Rail, but at this price range, they're unmatched. Better sound overall, P31i, and if you want stronger bass, P30i.
So the P30i's microphone is pretty rough. It is attempting to cancel out as much background noise as possible, but it's giving me a very compressed sound, and my voice is kind of cutting in and out. Since I have a combination of a noise reduction filter, but also a noise gate, overall, just not really that great of a microphone. The P31i's microphone is significantly improved when compared to the P30i. This one's still able to cut out a decent amount of background noise, but it's not warping my voice quite the same way. The noise gate's not as strong, and overall just sounds more natural. The tonality is a little bit better, a little bit warmer. This is one of the best microphones that I've used on earbuds, but I will say the limiting factor is going to be if you're using it with your phone, the auto gain system might make it distort.
I was originally going to have this section be about how good the software is, but that's not always the case. For both of these earbuds, it started off perfect. You get to change the ANC modes, which honestly didn't do much aside from changing the intensity slider. You can make your own equalization, you can select from a bunch of others, you can change the controls, and it's just a lot of other small things. It's fast and responsive. Usually, here's that big issue. If your earbuds have a firmware update available, the app will become unusable until you accept the prompt to update the buds. For days, my P31i would just never update no matter what I tried to do. But the workaround that forced it was eventually I disabled Bluetooth on my PC, which is what I had multi-point on. Outside that flaw, the Soundcore app is fast, responsive, and has legitimately useful features. Both of these have the same dust protection, but the P31i's IP55 rating can handle stronger water exposure, while the P30i's IP54 rating can handle mild sweat and light splashes. Neither of them can be submerged anyway. Now, these have multiple ear tips. The P31i comes with one extra pair of tips, so there's 4 total versus 3 total on the P30i. Both are comfortable for long periods of time. I use the largest of the ear tips on both. Unfortunately, they do get a bit loose after about an hour and a half just due to oils and wax, and since there's no hook, you will probably have to readjust them. I find it slightly easier to grab onto the P30i without pressing the touch sensor, but I do get accidental presses on both a lot whenever making adjustments. I would probably recommend having one press not do anything for either of these. As for my verdict, I recommend the P31i if you want the overall better earbuds, and the P30i if you want more bass and want to save the money.